Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm doing really well today. How are you?
I am good. Nice to see you. Thank you for organizing to meet up with me for a bit.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. I'm excited to learn about what you have going on.
Okay, and I'm excited to learn more about you.
Yeah.
And this is just an initial call, so I'm sorry that we're gonna have to meet again if you decide you want to do the podcast. I feel really bad. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm taking up people's time, but I'm like, there's probably seven of you who
Mhm.
reached out and said, I'd like to do this, and then I thought, oh my gosh, I need to have some initial conversations to find out
Yeah,
at least about these people before
absolutely.
conversation. We want it to be conversational
Hmm.
and not like, oh, here's a bunch of prompting questions for you. But at the
Hmm.
same time, I'm like, I need maybe something to go
Yeah,
on.
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I don't know how much I've told you about the podcast.
Not a
But
lot. So if you can kind of,
okay.
give me the synopsis.
Okay, great. How old are you or what age bracket are you in?
I'll
So
actually
people don't
be
know your age.
44 on
No
Valentine's Day.
way. On Valentine's Day.
Hmm.
Ah, happy birthday. I have another friend
Thank
who's
you.
also on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Okay, so you're part of this Gen X group, or you're kind of on the cusp like
Yeah,
me.
I am. I'm
Yeah.
on the cusp
Yeah.
of the Gen X millennial situation.
hmm
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's great. Basically, what we're trying to do is capture stories and conversations from women in our age category, Black women in our
Hmm.
age category.
Hmm.
Me and a friend were talking. This was like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago now. We've been wanting to do this for a while and we hadn't got our act together until just now. But we're both also Gen Xers and we were like, we've got a lot of important shit to say.
A lot.
And yeah, and we are actually out of all the noise and stuff that's happening, it's like we're really well put together. We're highly educated. We are focused. We're articulate. We're smart. We have so many interesting facets and dynamics to us.
Yes.
And so we just wanted to be able to share like ordinary stories from ordinary women doing amazing things. And we're
Yeah.
looking at anything that comes up in conversation because we want it to be somewhat organic, but
Hmm.
we're looking love, all types of relationships, grief, depression, postpartum, um, career, travel, life changes, menopause, like
Hmm.
anything. So
Hmm.
we're just looking to cover an array of topics and
Yeah.
anything that kind of comes up for us in conversation. And we want to hold it for between 30 and 45 minutes. So
Okay.
we're not trying to keep it super long. And we want to be able to capture the content of like the imagery of us and also the voice. So that way we have the content to use later.
For sure.
Or if we decide we want to do this on, our podcast to be on YouTube or something instead of just like Spotify. This
Hmm.
is our uh season, I guess, and
Okay.
we're trying to 8 episodes. I've already recorded three, but all of them have been in person. So these are the first ones I'm doing online. So
Virtual.
I'm trying to
Okay.
figure out how, like, I see you got your nice little setup there, and I'm like, I need to get something. And I do have some materials, but I haven't even figured out how to set them up on my laptop. So,
Understood.
yeah. So anyway,
I
that's the
love this.
story. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I love this so much. So I'll start off by saying I'm a serial podcaster. I have been podcasting and on the internet since about 2016, 2017.
Oh my
I used to have two talk shows with an organization called Beautiful Brown Girls. And it was
God.
before 2020. It started in 2017. So we were having conversations. I had a show called Brown Girl Boss where I would actually bring Black women on who were doing amazing things and introduce them to the community. And it was just so awesome and amazing. So I wanted to say that because I don't know how many times this is going to come up, but I'm probably going to be like, and I have a podcast about that
Yeah.
because I do.
Be
I
my
have
mentor.
Yeah, well, when you were talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so interesting because my best friend and I, this is what we do is we help people start podcasts because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know. It is so much bigger than just turning on the microphone and starting to talk, even though that
Mm-hmm.
is the entry, right, for a lot of people. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of production that goes into it. And
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of skills that you learn and or realize that you don't know as you are doing
Mm-hmm.
it. So
Yes.
we're looking for interns right now with so yeah, so anyway, I was about to say it's a lot of pieces that are going to come together, but I'm gonna just put them together for you. So we're looking for interns right now because we need help. Like we have probably
Wow.
between our collective, I have a podcast with my cousin, with my best friend and my cousin have a podcast together. Then I have my
And these
own.
are all different podcasts?
Yeah. So it's like maybe four or five different podcasts that are kind of happening. We're creating a universe, is what we are doing. So
Mm-hmm.
we're using that. Are you familiar with Kev on Stage by any chance?
Mm-mm.
So he's a creator and he kind of uses this universe concept of one
You're
person
creating the
introduces,
universe.
yeah, one person introduces the other people. So I live in Medellin, Colombia, and I left the US in 2021. So I had a traumatic experience in Pennsylvania. I was working for the Department of Education and it was wild, and the types of things that I saw just broke my spirit, and I just didn't really know what to do with any of that. So I had a friend that suggested that I take some time away, and this was in the middle of COVID. So I was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, by myself in the snow. I'm originally from New Orleans. So
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know anything or anybody here. Like the highlight of my day was to go to the Amish market. That's all there was for me there in Harrisburg. So he suggested I take a trip out the country, and I had just turned 40. And he was like, you should go to Medellin. That's where I go when I need to kind of get grounded or what have you. So I'm like, okay, I just turned 40. I'm gonna do something to scare myself. Like, let me, go and see. So I take this trip to Medellin, and it was the first time that I was ever able to just be. I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
to present. Nobody knew me, right? Because I just finished telling you about all this stuff like that I'm doing in the US, right? So it's like nobody knew me. I could just be. And I didn't realize how much my spirit needed that. And I went on a tour while I was here, and I met three Black women, and they were about 10 years younger than me. So they were about 30. I'm a Delta.
Uh-huh.
So two of them were Deltas, and one was a Zeta, and they were talking, and I overheard them say that they lived there. And I was like, wait, what? Y'all live here? So they're like, yeah. And I'm like, how? So they said, girl, you have a passport, pack your shit and get out of there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that right when you were sipping. I have timing like that. It's not on purpose. But that's what they said to me. And I, again, am living in Harrisburg. It's cold, it's snowy. I don't like it. Nobody's here. So I said, I don't know why I'm there. I am going to leave. So on that trip,
Wow.
I
For
decided that I was
you.
going to leave, and I went back to Pennsylvania. I sold all my stuff, my car, my everything. So all of my belongings fit in three suitcases in a backpack. And
Wow.
yeah, so I left in October of 2021. I actually started my journey in Playa del Carmen. And then from Playa del Carmen, I went to Mexico City. And then from
Mhm.
Mexico City, I came here to Medellin. So I have actually been like documenting this on YouTube all this time because I even did a series of talking about what happened in school improvement. So all of the stuff that's happening right now, I've been talking about this since like
You're
20.
like, hello.
I've been screaming out somebody, hey, listen to me. And it's interesting because in 2020, before I left, so I was working in Tampa, is where my education career started in Hillsborough County, which was at the time the eighth largest school district in the nation. Now it's the seventh, right? Just to give
Okay.
scale about the type of
My
foolery.
my cousin works in Tampa. I don't know if it's in, she works near Wesley Chapel.
Uh-huh. So possible. It might be Pasco. It depends on how far north
Yeah,
it is.
I that sounds familiar.
Okay. Wesley Chapel is Pasco County, but we
Yeah.
have the Hillsborough County stretches all the way from there, all the way to almost
Oh,
Bradenton. And then like Hillsborough County is gigantic, right? So
yeah.
so anyways, I was working in Tampa and I had gotten fired because a school board member, I was holding her accountable. She didn't like it. So with some articles that got written and all this kind of stuff, and it was just a lot. It was a lot that was going on. It was happening. But anyway, so then I wasn't working. COVID happens.
Are
And
you working, sorry, do you work in elementary, middle school, or high school?
so when I was in the classroom was in middle school. But once I
Okay.
left the classroom, it was K-12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so yeah, the whole situation happened. It was 2020. Black Lives Matter protests are going on. Florida is crazy. Ron DeSantis is doing all the crazy shit that he's been laying the groundwork for. Like this, Florida is where a lot of
Uh-huh.
this stuff was being practiced,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Yeah.
at the time, I just felt this urgent in my spirit, like I got to get out of here. Like I can't do this. I was fired. My dog had died. Like it was just like, why are you here? Right. So that same friend that told me I should go to Medellin, he's actually my ex-fiance, but that's another story for another time. But anyway, he was like, just come up here. And he lived in Boston. So he was like, just come up here. And I did a live about 2 weeks before I was leaving. And I was telling people I felt like I was Harriet Tubman. I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to leave and go prepare a place. I don't know what any of this means, but I've got to go. And I need
Yeah.
y'all to understand what your purpose is because I need y'all to get in line. It's some things that we have to do. It's going to be some people that we have to help. And now I help people leave the US because
Ah.
the time has come. And it's wild because I'll go back and I watch those videos and I had no idea what the hell I was talking about. None. I just knew what God was telling me. So that is what I was doing because all the signs. By this time, I had realized that God makes things very uncomfortable for me because I don't be
Mhm.
listening. I'm hard headed, and I feel like I feel like I gotta help the people to a fault, right? So God is like, girl, I need you to get out the way, and I need you to move, but I'm not gonna do that on my own. So then the temperature got to get turned up, and then we have situations where I'm like, okay, all right, I can't. I'm going right. So this has happened like a few times over my life. Um, so it's interesting now to be in 2025 and seeing what's happening now because in 2020 I said I have to go and nobody
Yeah.
understood. Everybody thought I was crazy. They thought I was on vacation. They thought I was being dramatic. They thought of all the things. And now people are calling and they're like, hey, so how I do this? How do I leave? And thankfully, I have the blueprint to be able to tell you how to do that, right? So that, but then also want to throw this in because this is another side quest, if you will. Throughout this time where I've left and I've had the chance to be outside of the constant pressure and just understanding myself more and honoring what I want, I also discovered that I'm neurodivergent. So
Oh.
there's the process of realizing that, right? Asking yourself questions about that, and then having it confirmed. And then you're like, wait, nobody saw this? Nobody? Y'all didn't? Nobody saw this? Like, what is happening here? So I've never felt so seen and understood, but also never felt so. It's a grief process because it's like I can remember when I was a child, I was a very sensitive child and I didn't talk to everybody. And I would kind of, I always, what was told to me is I always had a tear in my eye ready to fall. And it was
Oh.
stated to me like it was a very negative thing. Like you was just always crying, just always got something to cry about, you know?
Yeah.
When what it was is that I have a sensitive spirit. I'm an intuitive. So I'm sensing and y'all wasn't right. So I did not
Mhm.
want to be there, but I had to go against everything in myself to be there because otherwise the threat of physical harm, you know? So it's like there's that process of being like, I was this sweet, innocent baby girl just trying to do what's right by people. And you all are telling me not to lie, but you're lying to me every day, all day about everything. And I'm the one now at 44 trying to figure this out and what does this mean and how do I advocate for other Black girls who are being crushed by their own families, by the system, by whomever. Like, how do I help them to be able to fly and to be able to honor who they are without going through 30 plus years, 40 plus years of masking? It's and being a Black woman in the
Yeah.
US, you know what I mean? So I do that work
Mm.
as well. I'm an intuitive melanated life coach, and that was birthed out of my journey of
What did
a
you just say? Something life coach. I missed that. What did you say?
intuitive melanated life
Oh,
coach.
oh, Melanie.
Absolutely heavy
Like
on the
that.
melanation. Heavy on the melanation. So yeah, but that whole journey has been inspired by my life's journey. So it started out with me trying to get out of an abusive relationship. And
Oh,
my therapist challenged me to discover my spiritual gifts. And I had done it before. I grew up in church, which is a whole nother set of things, but I had done it before, but this time I really made it my special interest. And I really wanted to understand because I was trying to understand who I was and what that looked like to be a good person and to be a good Christian. And sure, let me do this. And in that process, I went on this journey of understanding who I actually am, how God designed me, and all these things that I was told that were bad about me. For instance, I'm sensitive, or that I used to be
yeah.
very black and white with decisions, like very quick decision making. Well, one of my spiritual gifts is a prophetic calling, and with that, it comes a high sense of discernment. And I was often around people that did not have good spirits. So yes, I was very quick to be like that. That don't sit right with my spirit. This feels safe. This doesn't. Right. I'm practicing that, but what is being told to me is that I'm judgmental and I'm critical, which I also was. I also was. So I had to learn how to operate in my gifts, but also how not to misuse my gifts against people or against myself. So I
Mm.
created a life coaching program called Discover Your Destiny. And I help people understand who they are and how God created them outside of religion, because all the things that were told to us about religion, lies. And that's not who God is. So I help people build a personal relationship with God where they are able to build a communication style with God. So, for instance, God sends me emails because I told you I'm hard headed. I don't be listening. So I'll be like, hey, can I get an email? Because I'll be messing stuff up. And no lie, I get emails all the time about things that I prayed about. And I know that it's from God. Because it's specifically something that I've prayed about, or something that God sends me a person when my brand is called Minding My Black Ass Business.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
so I just be minding my black ass business, and God will send me a person to be like, "Hey, girl, remember you told me that? All right, this person is here to tell you about whatever." Like, it just happens all the time. So I teach people how to develop that relationship with God and to allow God to talk to them. And what I love the most about what I get to do is I don't have the answers. I don't, people
Mm.
have to go to God. You got, because I'm not God. So I talk to God about me. You talk to God about you. So they go to God, they have a conversation with God about what that looks like, sounds like. They ask for whatever revelation, what have you. And then they come to me and I help them to be able to interpret that. So if God tells them that they have a gift of soul healing, which is people who are labeled as pastors. So if you come to me and you say, I have a gift of soul healing, wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So now let's talk about what that looks like. So, as a soul healer, you have a lot of empathy, and you want to make sure that you are not overusing that empathy and putting yourself into situations with people who are causing harm. So, that means that you need to be really, really intentional about your discernment and your intuition to make sure you're connected to your body, because your body is telling you the whole time. But if we've been trained to ignore that, right? So
Mhm.
we got to go through the process of what does this look like? What does this feel like? What does safety look like? What does peace feel like? What does joy look like and feel like? What does danger look like and feel like? We got to recalibrate that. So that's the
Mhm.
work that I do is I help people with, they bring me the stuff and then it's like, let's talk about this. And then I also certify life coaches. So in 2023, I certified 5 life coaches, and they're in various places across the world. One is in Portugal right now. One is here in Colombia, should be going to Peru, I believe, next. And then one is in Florida, one is in Pennsylvania, and one is in, where is she right now? Oh, I don't know, maybe Kansas City, who knows? But they're in different places across the world. And so in that certification process, they have to go through Discover Your Destiny to understand who they are, because that's when you understand who you're called to. These are the people that you're supposed to serve because this is your life story. So then they learn how to actually write a curriculum. So I'm an educator, right? So hold on a moment. Someone is at my door and I don't know why. I am so sorry. Can you give me just a second?
No worries.
Hola, buenas. Ah, bien, bien. Sí, tú hablas muy, muy, muy rápido. Un momento, porque estoy aprendiendo. Es algo que no yo puedo entender, pero más. Sí, gracias. Vengo a revisarte el consumo de energía. Ajá. Vale, ya de medio ya. Entiendo. Ok. I'm sorry, it's the energy company. They're probably going to be like 3 minutes. Is that okay? They have to check
Oh,
the meter.
yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
Okay. They're still here, but this is a side note that I wanted to tell you. They are very
Uh-huh.
serious about energy consumption here, like energy and water consumption. So they like make intentional rounds every month. You know how sometimes in the US, like people will be like, my water bill was $1,000 and like nobody ever came. They are coming to
Yeah.
make sure, is everything okay? Is there a leak? What's happening? Because my cousin lives here with me, and so sometimes my best friend comes as well. So sometimes it's 3 of us here, and but so it fluctuates. So they're like, we would just want to make sure everything's okay. Y'all all right? Okay, hold on. I'll be right. Sorry. ¿Cuántas personas viven aquí? Dos. ¿Y hace cuánto tiempo vives aquí? Hace agosto. Sí.
es que yo vengo por aquí, debo informarle a la compañía, a las públicas, que tú eres nueva usuaria de la casa. Okay. Porque la casa de un momento a otro se incrementó el consumo de energía. Okay. Les tengo que explicar el por qué se incrementó. Sí. Simplemente debo explicar que tú eres nueva viviendo aquí. Okay. Y por ende es normal que se presenten. Sí, sí. Pero tú me autorizas, yo le tengo una vuelta a la cocina. Sí. ¿Cuánto llevas aquí en Colombia?
2 años.
¿Ya? Sí. ¿Hablas muy bien español?
Sí, gracias. Yo practico todos los días. Ahora yo puedo entender más. Sí. Sí.
¿Es el idioma más difícil? Dicen pues, dicen. ¿No?
Sí, ¿tú hablas inglés?
No,
no. No. Oh. Soy una profesora de inglés.
Ah, ok, súper. Estoy haciendo el informe. Lo escribes y lo lees también.
¿Cómo?
El español, lo escribes y lo lees.
Sí. Para escribir es un poco difícil porque yo necesito entender cómo deletrear. Sí. Sí. So es más difícil. Pero leer, yo leo
bien.
Sí, sí.
Super. Sí, yo lo muy bien. Ok, para finalizar, bríndame por favor, ¿cómo es tu nombre?
Kimberly. Y mi apellido.
Gracias. Te pregunto, ¿tienes aire acondicionado o algún electrodoméstico?
Solo ¿cómo se dice? Ventilador.
¿Ventilador?
Sí. Gracias. I am so sorry.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you so
okay.
much.
My mom had sent me some messages, so I was trying to look at those, and I'm trying to buy toilet seats or
Oh,
toilets.
okay.
And so
Good
I'm trying to
times.
figure out which one to buy. And oh my gosh, I
There are
don't know.
many decisions.
There are.
I know.
Then when you can't see things in person, it's like on a
Right.
picture. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Understood. Wow. Well, yeah. Thank you so
I'm
much
trying to get
for
dual flesh. So yeah. Anyway.
understood. So yeah, I kind of dumped a lot there, but I just wanted to
Okay.
give you a synopsis because one thing kind of leads to the next, which leads to the next, and there's a lot of overlap and there are a lot of intersections of
Yeah.
people.
Well, I was wondering that as you were saying, and then I was like, okay, I can see how that connects to that. And I'm thinking, dang, you must be busy and having to like, okay, I got to switch gears to over here. Oh
Oh
no,
my
now I got to switch
God, it's so
here.
much.
That's a lot to be trying to do.
It is. I finally have a team. So when I mentioned the people who have all the podcasts,
Mhm.
we have a collective of people. So my best friend, she designs websites and does like digital marketing. And then my cousin is the administrator. So she operates in helping us with all the back end stuff. And then the guy who I mentioned is my friend of my ex-fiance. He is like the systems and AI guy. So, and then I do like the personal development and all of that. So we kind of barter with each other in order to help set the infrastructure because For instance, administrative stuff, I don't like to do it. I will do it. I don't like to. But even like digital marketing, I that's not my area of expertise. Okay.
Yeah.
So I happily hand that over. Like, can you build this website for me, please? Because for me, it's going to take me an exorbitant amount of time to try to figure that out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
gratefully now, there's a team and we're able to work together because a lot of the work that I do is central to a lot of the other work because of Discover Your Destiny. So everybody that comes to work with us comes through Discover Your Destiny because it's important for us to be very purpose driven and to really understand what our role is. Because, like, even for instance, right now, there are so many people that are, going back and forth. You should be using your platform and you should be talking like this and you should be doing whatever. Everybody is not meant to do that. There are people who are supposed to do that. There are other
Yeah.
people, like I just talked to a friend, she's a herbalist and she lives in South Carolina. And I talked to her the
Mhm.
other day and she was like, sis, I'm happy to be a stop on the railroad here, but I'm supposed to be here to protect my grandmother's land. That is my assignment. And I have to
Um,
respect that. It's like,
yeah.
and yes, because there are going to be people that need to pass through there to get some healing on their way to wherever
Yeah.
they're going. So yes, it's necessary. So
Get her from you.
would you say?
I said I might have to get her contact from you. I've been looking for people who are doing herbal work and farming and
Yeah,
organic growing
yeah.
that are in the South.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming she's Black.
She is.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been looking for more of those people to tap into and to build community because my family's from Middle Georgia,
Okay.
from a rural community, farming
Uh-huh.
community. But I find that they are so old school and everything's dominated by white people.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, where are all the Black farmers?
right.
I know there are some and they're out there and
I
there
know.
are folks of our generation who are now, making moves and doing stuff. So it's
Yes.
like, those are the people I want to talk to.
Yes.
Bump all this old, like old school, like they're out of touch with everything. And it's
Yeah.
like me, and I know like in South Carolina, they are way and in North Georgia, they've like surpassed us in
Mm-hmm.
like all the ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I mean, I generally don't have a limited time at home, but it's like, how can I tap into these people over social media or like having meetings or you
Yes.
know what I mean? There's
Yes.
other ways to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in Colombia. I talk to people all over the world every day. So using technology, they are there. Even when I was
Mhm.
telling her, because I'm about to move further out the city because I want to do
Oh,
that
are
here.
you?
So I
Oh,
live
because you
south
want to
of
do growing.
yeah, I live south of the
Okay.
city now, but I really want to have, they call them a finca. So I really want to have a farmhouse and just let me just grow my things and let me have herbs and let me just be over here in peace and solitude, you know. I want to be able to touch grass because right now I live in like a high-rise apartment building and that's how it is
Oh,
in the city. And, it's
yeah.
nice and it's cool and I love it. And also more quiet, please. But I was telling my friend, her name is Jasmine, and I was telling Jasmine about it, and she was like, "Oh, girl, I'm gonna come and set you up," because that's what she does. Is she helps people set
Yeah.
up their gardens, she gets their herbs going, like all of that. So yeah,
Wow.
so it's that connection, right, in that network. So we've been doing that underground
Yeah. And is
for a
that
little
what you were
while.
talking about with this universe?
Yes,
Or like helping one person connects another person or
correct.
introduce another person who then, yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
so like I told you, my cousin, so I've been gone since 2021. My cousin left in August of last year and came here.
Oh,
So I had been working on her for a while, like what, like, because why are you there? And she was in New Orleans and going to work every day now. And I was just like, but ma'am, you don't seem happy. And also it's so much less expensive. Um,
yeah.
so she wound up coming in August. I've been doing content creation for a while, and I asked her about telling her story. I'm like, what does that look like for you to document this? Because documentation is important to me because they erase in history every day. So we have to be really intentional.
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I was
Mm-hmm.
asking her, like, how are people going to know that you were here? Legacy is really big for me. And I don't have kids. My cousin doesn't have kids. So it's
Yeah.
like, how are we going to write our stories to let people know what we did? And in
Yeah.
that, she was like, okay, I think I'm gonna embrace like doing content. So now
Yeah.
Content Kalanda is a playlist that's on Minding My Black Ass Business. But the idea is for us to like launch her out. So when she's ready to have her own YouTube channel, hey, everybody go over there and follow Content Kalanda. So now we're able to get people monetized faster than if you were doing it on your own. So the idea is
Mm-hmm.
who's the most visible person? That was me because I've been doing this for a while. Okay, well let's pass people through here. So that's what I mean when I say that universe concept. It's like one person helps to launch the other people and now we have a whole universe and you just get to go because they also have people that are connected to them. So now you get
Yeah.
to go into those universes. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Awesome. I love that concept. And I love that there is a network of Black people helping each other because I feel like it is really challenging given our racial history and structures that have put in place for us to build with each other.
Yes.
Um, People find it really scary and really hard. And we've got this like crabs in a barrel,
Mm-hmm.
attack mentality and all of this where we aren't always living in solidarity with each other
Right.
and not, and we've now had this like generational um I think it's from generational trauma, but this built-in like lack of trust for each
Mm-hmm.
other been so oppressed that everyone's trying to get ahead and get
Yes.
somewhere. Like I said this summer, like we're only one step out of poverty, a lot of us, right? And a lot of us are still in it. So, even like my own mother, her mentality and her thinking, like it just pisses me off
I
sometimes.
understand.
And it's so hard to like articulate what are these things that are happening and why am I feeling this way? But she's in survival mode
Yeah.
always.
Yep.
She has been since a child. And
Yep.
so some of the ways she moves, I'm like, ugh,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like you,
Yeah.
you know? And it's
Yeah.
really hard because I know like it's probably happening totally unconscious to her. And my
Mm-hmm.
perception, seeing what she's doing and how she's behaving, she is totally unaware
Mm-hmm.
of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a little bit of it in me too. Like I had a friend say to me one time, like, she said something about me being really manipulative or something, but it was
Mm.
almost like in a clever way or but it made me like, oh, go like, oh, like
Yeah.
how you see me? Like,
Yeah.
because I am understanding how to take advantage of this situation and do this. And I thought,
Correct.
oh my God,
It's
like that
strategy
is
and
mom. Yeah.
intentionality. But see,
Hmm.
that goes to the gift and the misuse of the gift. Right.
Hmm.
And that goes to how things have been labeled. So remember, I'm a teacher, right? So in my
I'm a teacher too,
classroom,
by the way.
where you understand in the
Yeah.
classroom when they're like, this kid is never following directions. They're just doing things their own way and they just don't want to do whatever because you're not providing relevance for them to understand. So what they are
Yeah.
is they're making sense of that. They're engineering the situation. They're strategizing in their mind for how to make this make the most amount of sense so that they're not just doing something that's against their whole entire will. But we'll
Yeah.
label it as something negative. It's the same
Yes,
gift.
that
It's just
is true.
the opposite coin of it.
That is so true. Yeah, so I feel like because I had a conversation right before you, I'm like, what did I tell her? And what did I
I love when that
I'm
happens.
like, okay, I can't be doing these podcasts back to back. I
That's
already know.
I
'Cause
was just about
I'm like,
to
wait
say
a
that's how
minute.
I be. Was I talking to you on the podcast or was that in the room or wherever
Yeah,
we
I'm like,
had this?
what was that? No, I'm an educator too. I'm an international educator. And
Yeah.
so um I've I don't work in the classroom either. I'm a coordinator. So my
Mm-hmm.
role is also pre-K to 12. And
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of work in DEIB.
Same.
And I'm finding it even more relevant now and
Mm-hmm.
even more important to engage and invest in the work. So as I'm sitting here listening to you talk about um supporting others and doing this work and launching podcasts and launching spaces. And I know there's already a ton out there, but it's like who's tapping into them and are we like today, this morning I was listening to one Kimberly Crenshaw, do you know
Oh,
her?
I love Kimberly Crenshaw. Yes.
Yeah, she has a podcast. And I was listening to one this morning that I really enjoyed. And I've been trying to think like what are some ways that I'm going to be able to allow for my voice to still be heard
Yes.
amongst all of the noise
Uh-huh.
that's happening right now. And I've been this year, so I'm leaving my school at the end of this school year.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna probably take a year off, or I'm gonna find a job that I really am like, this is it sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna just be going for any old job. And I've resigned myself to like sit in the discomfort of like
Mm-hmm.
not knowing what's gonna happen and that I will not have the same kind of lifestyle and
Mm-hmm.
funds that I currently enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just being okay with that and getting
Mm-hmm.
back to basics. I mean, you were talking about living in solitude. I'm a social person, but I like small towns. I
Mm-hmm.
like the comfort and safety of close-knit communities, networking, and feeling like I can talk to everybody. I can move around freely. I can do what I need to do to feel
Yeah.
happy and
Yeah.
feel joy. And right now I live in a city and I'm like, although this is an amazing experience and it's
Where
been
are you
great for,
now?
oh, I live in Johannesburg, South
Okay,
Africa.
okay.
Yeah. So I've been this is my sixth school year and I'm ready to move along.
Yeah.
Um but there are some things that will be very sad and my quality of life here is great. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't really have any intentions of ever going back to the States. I've been living outside of the US now for 19 years.
Oh, God bless it. Yes. People,
I
because
mean,
I never knew it was a choice. Until I met those girls,
oh, neither did I.
I
This
was
kind of just
like,
happened. I initially moved out of the country because of a boy.
but
So
that be the thing though, sometimes, because that's
but
what
I
they
wasn't
really
even like,
for.
I wasn't even thinking about, yeah, all the shit that's happened now. Now I'm like, thank God I don't want
Yes.
to live.
You have a
Yeah. So
long legacy of making that choice.
yeah, yeah. But it was not, I think, with the same intentionality as what people have now.
That's
Do you
okay.
know what I mean?
I understand. But you knew
So
enough
yeah.
to go. You went, you didn't know why.
Oh, I was because I was like this, oh, in Loveland, and that quickly,
God was like, I
aborted.
just got to get you out. You gonna follow this boy? Great, go. That's fine. Because I just need you to be over there. That's what happened to me. That's what I would not have sold my house. I would not have done any of that if I did not think I was getting married. I would have been
Really?
no. It was never in my mind. I was going to work every day. I was gonna have, the house, the dog, the things, looking for
Oh,
a bigger
okay.
house.
I mean, I thought I was gonna have that too, but not right at that time. I was still, I mean, I wasn't young.
Mhm.
When I moved out of the country, I was almost 28, but I still felt like I was a very recent graduate. I
Yeah.
graduated when I was 3, so I had only
Okay.
been graduated a little while and just
Right.
started out. And my ex-boyfriend had only been graduated 1 year when we left.
Okay.
And so, um, yeah, I was just following him back to his home country
And where was that?
and in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Australia. Yeah. And then that's when I started my teaching career. So I
Okay.
knew I did AmeriCorps. Do you know AmeriCorps?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I did AmeriCorps and I was working with kids and I have a lot of teachers in my family and my aunt was like, you should go back and get your teaching certificate so you can have other options. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, no,
I did
I
the
do not.
same thing. I was like, who's teaching
Not in those
kids?
kids. I was like, oh, that sounds horrible. Anyway, I did AmeriCorps and I was like, I love this. This is my calling to go and teach kids. I love this. And I knew that I was moving to Australia with my boyfriend. He was just there as an exchange, not
Okay.
exchange student. Sorry, that's not the right word. He got recruited from Australia to come and play basketball.
Oh,
And he was there playing basketball for four
okay.
years. And his coach helped him get a job. This coach is like amazing. He like takes kids from like talents that he sees from other places
Yeah.
and he brings them to the States. And the school is a small school. And he, in their community, they have this big a multinational
Hmm.
company. And that company has different sister companies all over the world. And they've got their hands in a lot of different pies. And so he helps them get jobs through that company.
Okay.
And then because they have a plant in Australia, Todd
Okay.
worked for 1 year after his finishing college for the company in America, and then he got transferred to Melbourne.
Wow.
We moved to Melbourne together, but we were super naive. He's 2 years younger than me,
Uh-huh.
so he was like
26 or so.
25.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was 24, 25, and I was 27 when we moved to Australia.
Wow.
And yeah, it did not go very well.
But how
And so
long
we,
did you live in Australia?
me for almost 11 years.
See? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I mean, the relationship didn't go well,
Yeah,
but my
yeah.
time in Australia has been a blessing.
Exactly. You just
I
had to
tell him
get there.
I tell him all the time, like, there were times where I hated you, and there were times where I was like, thank you, Todd, for taking me
Yes.
out of that because it helped me find my path.
Yes.
So it's been, yeah, definitely a blessing. And as soon as we broke up, everything just started to go for me. So it was great.
Wow.
And
That was his job.
he's
His
still,
job was
yeah,
to get you there.
exactly. And he's still
Yes.
a great part of my life. And he's positive and helpful. And I'm so close with his family. I've spent probably the last maybe 14 out of 19 Christmases with them. So I spend a lot of
Wow.
time.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love this.
And he's married with kids, and like our
Yes.
relationship is totally, just a friendship.
Yes.
And so he has been a blessing in my life, although times were hard, when everything first happened, but
Mm-hmm.
now good
Mm-hmm.
now. And it's been a long time now. We've been broken up for like 18 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, done and dusted, and we can be good friends.
Yes.
And yeah, so I lived there for a long time, and I have my citizenship there, so I don't have to go back to America. Thank goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. But I
Nice.
mean, it's expensive to live there. And I did buy a house. Just the same day I got my citizenship, I bought a house, but then 6 months later, I moved to China. I didn't know before that I was going to be moving. And then I decided to start in international education. And now I'm like, this is a good gig. I want to keep doing this. I'll keep doing this till I retire. It's a great way to save money. It's a great way to see the world. It's a great way to, yeah, explore and work in lots of different countries and
Mm-hmm.
environment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have the kind of lifestyle where you can save money and
Mm-hmm.
still go do shit. And
Wow.
I've been loving it. So thinking about taking a year off is like, oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm so used to this nice lifestyle. And in Australia too, they pay their teachers a much better living wage than we do in the States. And so I have no strong desire to live in the States again full time. Like I might do the half and half or something like that. But like with the way things are going at this moment in time, I'm like, do I want to go back
Girl, I'm
there?
looking to get asylum because I can't go back there. They don't want I have talked so much shit on this internet about Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Department of Education and school improvement as a whole and how they was just squandering all this money. I can't go back there.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I go back to the States is because, I mean, there's a lot of great things about it, right? Like, there's a lot of familiarity there for me.
Hmm.
And even like in the foods and things that are available to you, all of those things that, if you live, outside the country, you kind of go, oh, yeah, it is nice having. But at the same time, like the capitalist drive to consume, buy, and be into material resources, that doesn't sit well with me. So that part I don't enjoy. It's like
Yeah.
to take, and there's some amazing spaces and people there. And obviously I love my family and my friends, so I love going to visit them. And also living this international teaching life allows me to go
To
do
be
that
able
because
to.
I, all the international schools are different and they have different packages and different benefits and stuff. But a lot of them will pay for your flight home once a year or
Mm.
at the beginning and end of your contract. So currently the school that I work at now pays for my flights to go home. They pay for my apartment.
Yeah.
So I don't have to pay for my rent. I get to go home once a year. I
And
have
then you
worldwide
get
health
pay on
coverage.
top of that. Then you get your
Oh yeah.
salary on
And
top of
they
that.
pay my tax and they pay my taxes here as well. So
Wow.
I get my full salary. I don't like the only thing I'm responsible for is my food.
Uh-huh.
I have to pay the electricity here, my car.
That's
That's
it.
it.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
So to think about giving up those benefits next year and like, okay, I got to go back to like paying
Well,
for
are you
everything
wanting
myself.
to
Why
stay
am I
there?
gonna get health insurance? Huh?
Are you wanting to stay there in Johannesburg?
No, no, I'm ready to go. Yeah.
So depending on where you go, you're not going to have
Oh,
a
I'll
lot of
go
expenses.
out for if I take a year off, I'll go home for
Okay.
the because I have a part-time working gig at home.
Oh.
And so I've been doing that for the last couple of summers because I have another project happening in Georgia. That's where
Mm-hmm.
my family's originally from, but the place I call home is Alaska. And
Oh.
so I'll go up there and work because you can earn a decent chunk of change. I can live with my aunt and uncle. Yeah, so I'll do that
You
and
have
then I'll
lived a
go to
colorful
Australia.
life.
Thanks. Um, yeah, it's been a journey and not one like you said, you didn't anticipate like living overseas or doing what you're doing. I
Yeah.
did not either. I never thought I'm from the hood in Atlanta, Georgia. So
Okay.
I never in a million years thought my
Wow.
little black self would be doing all the things that I've done. I feel
Yeah.
so incredibly blessed. So incredibly
Wow.
blessed.
How often do you reflect on it?
I think I reflect on it pretty often because it comes up because people want to know who you are, where you're from,
Hmm.
and blah, blah, blah. You know, if I say I'm from Alaska, they're like, Alaska? How do black people get up in Alaska? You know, and then, you know, if I have, I avoid actually telling people about the Australia thing. I will tell them if I'm like having more of a conversation, but if it's just a light conversation, because sometimes it sounds almost braggy
Mm.
and you don't want to get into the whole nitty gritties of how you, so. Yeah, so I kind of avoid that. And I don't tell very many people I have citizenship unless we get into
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I'm
Wow.
a pretty open book, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to sound like, oh, I am blah blah blah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
So if it
deeper
comes
story
up,
that's there.
yeah, if it comes up, I'll say. But when you live in an international space, like we all have like these unique stories about our experiences. And the one thing that I've loved about being here is there's a huge expat
Hmm.
community of Black folks, and
Hmm.
it is like the most Blackness I've ever been around. So I am just like loving it because in most
Yeah.
spaces I've been the minority for most of my life. From the time I moved from Georgia at 11 years old, I have
Mm.
never, a lot of times I'm the only.
Wow.
So that whole experience with George Floyd and you know what you were talking about with um the reawakening of the social justice movement,
Hmm.
like that was such a pivotal moment for me and
Hmm.
a lot of learning happened and COVID was kind of a blessing in that way to where I got to be home and reflect on who
Mm.
I am as a human, who I am as a Black woman, who I am as a Black person,
Yeah.
and really like engage in a lot of the work and a lot of scholarship around it. And so that's been really nice, but I feel like I'm still at the beginning of this journey. So I want to keep learning and growing. So if I do take the year off, I want my year to be immersed in that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to just rest and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, oh no, Trump don't mess that up. Like, I want to be in this work and I want to make sure that we keep, like you said, these stories alive because they
Hmm.
are trying to erase our history. And
Yeah.
it's like, stop trying to erase my humanity. Like, we can't allow that to happen. And I feel like we have platforms, we have voices, we're highly educated people. Um, yeah, and so we need to talk about it and we need to teach others about it. Whoever's willing to listen,
Absolutely.
like stand in solidarity with us. And I have most of the people I'm around are white people. And it's like you are the ones who need to be learning this and you need to be hearing this. And you're the
Hmm.
ones who galvanizing yourself to go to the White House and do X, Y, and Z because we're tired of doing it.
Correct.
So I'm
Correct.
happy to share the story because the other part of it, a lot of my Black friends, we always get into these conversations about like, I grew up in mostly white community. Like, I know white people.
Mm-hmm.
And they grew up in mostly Black community. They're like, they know. I'm like, they do not know. I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
you.
They
Like,
don't
yeah,
have to know.
there are some white people who know, yes. But I'm like, we all grew up in a white supremacist society. Like we all grew up only learning about MLK and Rosa Parks.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us learned about Malcolm X, and then some of us learned about a few more. But I'm like, I was in the education system in the North.
Right.
They're not
Right.
talking about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So it's like if you're in a town full of all white people and
That's
this
an
one
echo
little Black
chamber.
family who is like the model citizen Black family, and you're not learning about this history at school, how are you going to know? And
Mm-hmm.
all you see is I mean, I had these same kind of internalized oppressive thoughts. Like, yeah, why are these
Correct.
people in these cycles of poverty? Like, what's wrong with them? Like, my family got out. Why can't you get out? But it's like not everybody has the access and the
Correct.
circumstances to get. And I am lucky my little Black butt had that opportunity through another family member to do that. But not
Mm-hmm.
everybody has that.
Correct.
And so
Correct.
trying to explain that and trying to even understand my own history. Yeah, why is it that all of us Black people are stuck in this cycle of poverty, you know, in this country? Why is it that my mom works so hard and then I've
Mm-hmm.
got people saying, "Oh, Black people are just lazy and they don't work
Right.
hard." And I
Right.
see her working damn hard and she
Right.
still can't get out of the
Right.
ghetto. Like,
Right.
why is that? That,
Right.
these things are not adding up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the understanding that systemic part. And many
Yes.
people, well, it's also realizing that there's propaganda in the US.
Yeah.
And I think that probably was the biggest aha for me because I grew up in New Orleans, but I did not get my first Black teacher until high school. So
Mm,
I thought teachers were white. I just thought that's what
yeah.
white people taught, you know,
Well,
and
I can say I was the reverse. I had Black teachers when I was young, and then when I was 11 and moved to Alaska, no
right,
Black teacher throughout any of my schooling, even
correct.
into college, none.
Yeah, and I believe that, you know,
Yeah.
so it's like once you really, and this is why as an educator, I be telling people, y'all have to, like, people have to be very, they have to activate their metacognition, which a lot of people aren't able to do, because you need to think about how did you develop the understanding of what it means to be Black and where did that come from and whose voices were those? Like my mother raised me to be white. She
Mm-hmm.
everything was about whiteness. Everything was about proximity to
Mm-hmm.
whiteness, pleasing white people. We're going
Mm-hmm.
to the white grocery store, the white everything, because
Mm-hmm.
white people have better things and you need to have what the white people have, right? But
Exactly.
then,
Exactly.
like I said, I went to high school. I had Black teachers, and then I went to Fisk University. And at Fisk, I really started learning about the vastness of Blackness, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
only know what we know. And that's the other thing is
Mm-hmm.
depending on what generation you're talking to, not
Yeah.
understanding the role that the internet and social media plays in helping people to be able to have better information to make different choices. And then the
Yeah.
willful ignorance of I'm not doing going down there to that AI. I'm not
Yeah.
fooling with that internet. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But also realize then your knowledge is limited because when I grew up, they told me if it was in a book, it was true. We didn't talk
Yeah.
about bias. We didn't talk
Yeah.
about who the
No.
author, you know, what slant the author was going on, who this author even is,
Yeah.
who the intended
Or
audience is.
yeah.
We didn't talk about none of that.
Yep.
So it's a lie. It's a process, and that's why I say I've been talking about this on the internet for a long time. I still, you know, do what I can to try to help people understand, but also realizing when you're in an echo chamber and you're not getting the truth and you don't have access to the truth, of course
Yeah.
you think that.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing until I had a
Yes.
series of things that allowed
Exactly.
me to have other perspectives, and I was willing
Exactly.
to allow myself to challenge my thoughts and to challenge what had been taught, you know, because I also grew up in a church and they said, you don't ask questions, you don't ask God questions.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
you don't
you
ask
just
grown
be
folks
obedient.
questions.
And you definitely don't ask grown folks questions. Don't ask questions. Just shut up and do what I
Yeah,
said, you know? And how does that
exactly.
impact what we know? So it's a lot, and the work is definitely needed. And there are many different ways to do the work. So I
Yeah,
appreciate that. I don't think that there can be too many voices. I
yeah,
believe that though some people's podcast mics, I really want to unplug. I really do. But also, I think it's important for us to tell these stories because I don't know the people that you know, and you don't know the people
yeah,
that I know. So just by
yeah,
having a collaborative experience, now we've exposed completely
yeah,
different audiences to what's happening in somebody else's
yeah.
perspective, you know? So, yeah,
Yeah. No, it's great. I really appreciate you saying all of that because it is, I mean, yeah, and we're not a monolith, right?
correct.
And so some of the stuff that you're sharing is like, yes, I resonate with that because, yeah, I get that and I feel that too. And also being in the same profession, you see things very differently than you did as a student
Yeah,
yourself or as a
yeah,
child in your
yeah.
own little neighborhood or whatever. Um, so yeah, and it's okay that we have different perspectives and that we feel like some of my Black friends feel very differently about these things than I do. And it's like, I'm going to share my experience with you, and I'm hoping that that exposure to that, to me sharing my experience and my story opens up a channel and a
Yeah.
pathway. And it's like, I'm not asking for you to forgive white people or whatever, but I'm asking you to have perspective.
Hmm.
And you don't want us all to be lumped together, so don't lump
Right.
all them together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We got to be intentional in honoring everybody's humanity. You know, if we
Yeah.
want our humanity honored, we do. We
Mhm.
have to honor other people's humanity
Mhm.
and honor their story and their
Yeah.
understanding. And you could grow up in the same house and will have two
Mhm.
completely different experiences.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
we
For
don't know
sure.
what they know. Do some of them know? Yes. But also
Yeah.
they don't have to know. So there's lots,
No,
you
they
know,
don't.
I had this experience when I moved to Pennsylvania. I was living, so I'm from New Orleans, right? We didn't have mountains. Okay. We didn't have that. It was a hill in the zoo. That's the highest point. Okay. So first of all, we're driving and my ears are popping. And I'm like, why are my ears popping? And Lewis is like, we're in the mountains. And I was like, what mountains? So he's like, the Appalachian Mountains. I'm like, really? I thought those were further south. Like it's mountains up here. Right. So that was the first thing. But then I'm walking along this river, and the river was called the Susquehanna River. And as I'm
Hmm.
walking along the river, I'm saying to myself, Susquehanna, that sounds that sounds indigenous.
Yeah.
Susquehanna River? And no lie, all of these random facts, I hated history growing up. Hated it. It was my worst class. It was
I
stupid.
know.
Why we got to keep learning this stuff? Y'all point at this damn board with that damn meter stick. Shut up. When can I go to somewhere else? Because snooze fest. Okay. So
Yes.
all of these random facts start come back like, oh shit, there were people here. There were people here. And in
Mhm.
that time, I said, how much of my life have I lived without having to understand the plight of an indigenous person who is indigenous to this land? And these
Mhm.
people came and killed them and moved them because when I thought about indigenous people, I was like, oh, you know, New Mexico, Arizona, still don't know a lot, but they over there, you know. I had the privilege of not ever having to consider what it is like for them to be on their native land and watching it just get destroyed every single day, every which like I had the privilege of that. That's when I understood white people don't be knowing. They don't have to
Mhm.
know. I didn't have to know
No.
any of that to navigate as a person, as
That.
another person who also experiences oppression all the time.
Mhm.
I didn't have to
Yep.
know anything about that particular population of people. White people don't have to know about us. So many of them know. They don't. They don't know. They're just ignorant.
Yep. And that's what I say. I'm like, I don't think most people are, I guess, because the definition of racism has changed recently, right? And what does that mean? Whereas when I was growing up, it's like hateful acts
Right.
towards someone because of their skin color. And now it's so much broader than that. But yeah, my thing I say to people, it's ignorance. Most people
Mm-hmm.
are just ignorant, especially after I moved out of our country and I
Mm-hmm.
lived in Australia. And people would say all kinds of wild ass things
I
to
believe
me.
it.
And if they were in America, people would be like, they are so racist. They said blah, blah. And I'm like, they don't have any other black people
Mm-hmm.
except for their own indigenous people, but they don't know everything there is to know about Americans. And I also realized like, wow, we are very egocentric.
Very.
Like we think the world revolves around us. And I'm
Yes.
like, what do you mean you don't know about slavery?
Yes.
And it's like, but that's not our history. That's
Right.
not in our country. That's not what we learned about in school. Or they'll be like, yeah, I heard about it, but it's like this, like not a tangible
Very
thing.
detached. Yeah. Like there was
Very,
y'all had something that happened over there with some slaves or
yeah, like I
something, but it
heard
didn't
about
stick.
it, but
It didn't
like,
stick.
yeah, and the same moving to China. They could not. So it was like
Mm.
myself and a white South African woman who worked at the school. They could not wrap their head around the fact that I was the American one and she was the South African one. Because they're
Mm.
like, wait, but she's white and you're black. So how could she be from Africa and you're from America? And they just
Uh,
did not, it just did not. And in
yeah.
China, they don't learn about other people's history in
I bet they
school.
don't.
They learn about their own. That is a
Yeah.
part of their whole communist society, like insular belief set, is to be learning about things that are going on in China,
That's how the
not
US
things.
is too.
That's true. I mean, we learn about British history because that's how we became, right?
Ish. Is it history really? Do they really teach us about
I
because
think it's
it's so detached. Like it's just so Britain and it's so detached. It's like, yeah, that
yeah,
and then so yeah, over here. Let's talk about this. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it's quite interesting going to other countries
I
and
bet it is.
grasping that, like, oh, like I could always tell when uh um expat or black woman generally was new to China because they would be getting all up in arms about, the way the Chinese would speak to them or like wanting to touch them. And
Yeah,
because like you don't do that at home, but
right.
like they're not Western. So their cultural norms and all the cues that you give them, like kind of giving them the side eye, like, are you for real? Like,
Yeah,
why are you staring at me? So you're
yeah,
looking at them like,
yeah,
but those cultural cues do not apply to them.
yeah.
They're just like still looking at you like, huh?
Right.
And you are so, I'm the first black people person that a lot of them have ever
And like,
seen. And
yeah.
I said, imagine if an alien, not that I want to compare myself to
Right,
an
right.
alien,
Yeah.
imagine if this foreign thing landed in front of you and you have never seen it before and you're like, wow. Or maybe you only saw it on TV.
That's the other thing. That's the main thing.
Like, yeah. And I just think like all the cultural cues and norms and things that they are not Western.
Yeah.
They do not have the same context as us.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time. And although sometimes it still pisses me off if somebody jump in front of me in the line or they do X, Y, and Z because I have not been raised like that. And it
Hmm.
just annoys me. And I find it so incredibly rude. And I have to just wrap my head around the fact that for them, that's not rude.
Hmm.
For them staring or just coming up and touching you or whatever, that's not seen
Hmm.
as rude,
Hmm.
considerate. And letting that go is so hard. And there were days where I would get like, I'm not even gonna go outside because I just can't deal with it today.
Yeah.
So I like that. But I also had the understanding of like that this is their culture and I am in their country.
Correct. Correct.
So there's some amount of like, you know, juggling I need to do.
Yes.
I can't think that everyone's gonna, change to suit me.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. That global understanding, man, it'll turn some tables.
Yes.
Because many don't have it by design.
Yeah.
It was never meant for us to understand that there are other cultures and customs and countries and people and they have infrastructure, they have roads, they have malls. Like that was not that we weren't brought up that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's ignorance. And I
Yeah.
think the difference is, will you allow yourself to be wrong? And will you allow yourself to gather some more information to just consider that
Mhm.
maybe you just don't know? Because maybe. maybe there are some things that happen outside of your understanding of how you view the world. Maybe there are other perspectives.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
you know, and
So
that
it's been
separates
a
those of
journey.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it when I see us out in the world because you don't see that very much. I'm seeing it more now, which is
Hmm.
so exciting. But
Hmm.
like when I first moved out,
Yeah, you was a
yeah,
trailblazer, man. You were
yeah.
a trailblazer.
Every
Okay,
time I
that's all
saw a
I
black
like
person, I'm like,
saying.
oh my God, a black person.
You took the brunt of all the things because
Oh, I definitely felt like
sure,
I'm the black ambassador.
I believe it. I believe it. Thank you
It was like really
for
tiring
that
sometimes.
sacrifice because I know it had to be. I am serious. I'm not even playing right now. I am so serious because you went before, whether it was intentional or not, you went before there was a wave of understanding. So you've been collecting this information and having these experiences. I'm just on year 4. It's been 5 times this amount of time that you've really been able to understand. So give yourself also some grace in that, and put some respect on your name and give yourself your flowers because you were out there before many of us were. And that provides a different perspective with different experiences that need to be heard.
Yeah, thank you. I don't generally think of it that way, but thank you.
My pleasure.
I got to go to bed because it is
I was about to ask you, what time is it there?
bedtime,
I'm
and
okay.
and
Bedtime.
school starts early here, so
Oh,
it's
and
like,
you
oh,
gotta go to work tomorrow. Well, my God. Well,
yeah.
listen, keep me posted on the things. What happens now? Like I'm gotta
Oh,
go
I
see.
want to make a time. I
Yeah.
want to make a time to meet with you for the recording. I'm
Okay.
still trying to work out which platform um I should use because until now, my I was doing this in person with people and I have
Right.
like my computer recording, my phone recording, and my friend Kim, who I'm doing this with, she's the person who does all the editing and la 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 la.
Gotcha.
I don't know any, like you were saying, people have their strengths and
Yes,
their
yes,
lanes.
yes.
That is not my lane either. I know nothing about that.
Understood.
Um, I'm like, I guess I'm gonna be the voice, even though I'm like, oh, my voice, I don't like it, but I'm gonna be the voice. And I
Okay.
love talking to people. I love connecting. And she was like, I want to be behind the scenes. I'm not, I
Okay.
don't
Gotcha.
there. And so she's yeah, she builds content and that's been her work. She's a producer, she's a writer, she writes
Okay.
plays, she's books. That's her whole little
I love
world.
this.
Yeah, and she's moved to Johannesburg about the same time I did. And she's just bought a beautiful property and home that she's setting up into like a boutique hotel experience for Black creatives and for people just to come and rest. And yeah, it's really nice.
I
And so,
love
yeah, so she's putting her energy there. And we're supposed to have this lunch by March, but I'm like, that's next month. I've only had 3 interviews, so or
it.
3 presentations.
Okay.
So I'm like, I need to get to work, but they haven't been online. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if I should use Zoom. I'm not sure if I should use, they were telling me this platform, Riverside.
I don't
Do
know
you know
about
that platform?
Riverside. I usually use StreamYard.
Okay.
There is a free version of StreamYard. I don't know what if you all have budget to be like purchasing
No.
things, but StreamYard or Zoom, both of them will allow for video and audio.
Yeah. Yeah. I use Zoom quite a bit.
Hmm.
Lately we've had to use Google Meets because after we came out of COVID, they cut down. You can only do 45 minutes if you don't have a
Hmm.
paid subscription. And that's the other thing though. We want these to be between 30 and 45 minutes
Hmm.
long.
Hmm.
We don't want that to be too long. Um, what else?
So yes,
So
I would
yeah,
say Zoom or StreamYard would probably be best. And you said you're just doing audio, right?
Well, we're trying to capture content too,
Oh,
because we
okay,
don't know
perfect.
we don't know if I'm sorry, video content, because we don't know if we're gonna put it on, I don't
Whatever.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
YouTube,
yeah. Because I
wherever.
definitely gonna want to put it on something. So that's the other thing is I want to make sure that I'm able to tell my people
Yeah,
where it is and watching it and all of that. So yeah, I would say Zoom or StreamYard is probably I'm not familiar with River. I don't know. It might be that I
yeah.
don't know anything about it.
I I've been interviewed on it before
Okay.
by another podcaster. And I can tell he's honing his skills on it because I looked at his earlier ones and now he's got like the words up there and he's doing work in DEIB and he also is an educator and he's stepped out. He's doing like a little bit of work with I think like curriculum or testing or
Oh.
something. Um,
See, we need a
and he's
directory of all of us that are doing this so we can be connecting and collaborating on these projects.
I know it's great. It's just like so refreshing to hear other people who've been like, F this. I'm not gonna continue to be a part of the system and the grind when there's other creative pursuits and things that I want to be doing and to know that you can still make a living. Because a lot of us are too scared. Like I had to tell my mom, I'm not gonna be able to send you any money anymore because I'm about to not have a job.
Yeah.
So
Girl, I've been in this boat since for a while.
yeah,
So yeah, it's flux, and
yeah.
thank God for
That's
faith, because amen.
yeah.
I'm still here, Jesus.
And I think I live pretty frugally. Like I don't, yeah, I live pretty, I mean, I've been living more lavish because I have a job
Yeah, yeah.
and I live internationally. And like I said, I get a lot of things paid for me. So that's allowed me to be able to like travel and like do some amazing, beautiful things and eat out and all that stuff. But I'm like, that's about to come to a quick
Yeah.
halt.
Yeah. But
Um,
you're gonna have a chunk to be able to sustain yourself for when you take this year. You will.
I don't think so. I only got like 5 more months of payments, and I'm like, I
That's
need to think about carefully how I'm going to be spending my money for the next 5 months. But I don't think I'll be destitute. I'm okay. Like I already put a bunch of savings in my account in Australia because Australia is really expensive. So when I go there for that time, I'm hoping I can just do substitute teaching for like 1 or 2 days a
mm.
week and be able to live off the money that I have. And I have lots of friends who have already offered me spaces
Oh,
in their home. So I'm
yeah.
happy about that.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be good.
But when I go to the US, and my big thing is I have I don't know if you've heard of a barn dominium,
I have.
live in shed. So
Yep, I
I'm
love
building one
those.
of those on my dad's farm. Yeah.
Are you
So I have a
documenting that?
kind of. I've been getting pictures, but I'm not there. So I have
Okay.
to doc. That's why I'm looking for
Okay.
toilets.
Okay.
Like do everything online. So, and it's been 5 years now.
Oh,
So it's a bit frustrating. And I haven't wanted to be too vocal about it. So I don't post it on social media or
gotcha.
anything. And
Well, not
maybe
to
it's out.
post, but just so you have it to look back on the process.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even like
I
when
want
you
to
sitting there
post
looking
it.
at toilets, like
Yeah. I
y'all,
want to
my
do a story like after it's completed. But
yes,
right now, there's nobody living there. My dad doesn't want it to be, public
yeah.
because public might show up and take what they want.
Oh, I understand. I understand. I mean, for you. So when I say
Yeah.
document, I don't mean necessarily to share. I mean that you'll be able to go back and be like, man,
Yes.
I remember
I
that
do
day
have.
I
Yeah.
was picking
But
out them toys.
asking 60-something-year-olds to take pictures for you is a little bit, my mom has,
I
she's
understand.
like, trying to take a video. What do you think? I'm like, it's okay. What the heck? But yeah. So I have
That's
been trying to
funny.
get it documented. And then when I go there and the times that I go home,
Yeah,
I document myself.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I'm hoping one day I'm probably going to be one of these people. I need to send all my content to somebody and say, can you please do something with that? Because I don't have time and I can't do it.
Same, same. And that's why I'm looking for interns
Yeah.
because somebody loves to edit. And my gosh, I've got so many things that they can practice on. So yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, as long as it's captured somewhere, then you'll be
Yeah.
able, even if you're not there, right? You talking about your process that you're going through. You don't need them to send pictures for that, right? It's like, man,
Yeah.
today I'm waking up and this is what I'm feeling today. Just being intentional about us having things to reflect on so that we can
Yeah.
appreciate, our journey, because every day you're doing something towards that journey. So
Yeah.
taking a moment and I'm saying this to myself too, but I say it to everybody that I talk to. Like we have to be intentional about documenting our life and not just waiting to the big moments, also the moments that make us stop and pause. And today I'm just sitting here thinking and I just decided I want to make a little audio note.
Yeah.
It ain't going nowhere, but you did it. And one day you're going to go back and you're going to be looking through your phone and things and let me go across this audio note. And lo and behold, here's the message from past you to future you, like stuff like that is really powerful.
That's true. That is so true. And even, like when you look at back at stuff, like how they used to, I don't think they do them anymore. I haven't seen them lately since it's been Meta. On Facebook, they had those Facebook moments
Oh,
that
the
you
memories,
posted.
they'll come up sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wrote that. And I'm like, what
Yep.
was the context behind that? Or what
Yep.
was I doing at that time? Or what was,
Yep.
so it is quite funny to
Yeah.
yeah, think back and look and see evidence of your
Yeah.
past self having
Yeah.
felt every kind of
Yeah.
way about something.
Yes, yes. That okay. So how soon do you want to try to do the
Uh,
recording?
it would be good if we can do it sometime later in February. Does that work for you?
So when we're saying later, we mean the last week.
No,
What's later?
the second last week or the last week?
Okay, so somewhere
Next week I'm
between
going to be
the.
going out of town, so I won't have time to do it next
No
week.
worries. My birthday is next week, so I'm not.
Oh, well, happy birthday. Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
on Friday, right?
Yup. So
Oh, that's a nice
let's.
day to have your birthday.
Yes, I'm excited about it this year.
What are
I
you
don't
gonna
have it.
do?
I don't have plans.
Sidebar.
I don't have any plans.
Oh, you need to get
I
some
don't have
plans.
any plans. I'm probably going to wake up that morning and let my spirit just guide me to what it wants to do. And I'll just take a brain field trip.
That might be nice too.
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite thing because I never know what's going to happen. It's just like, oh, let me open this door and see. Let me follow that sidewalk. Let me run down to this
Hi.
butterfly. So yeah. Okay. So what time of this time of day that we're looking at?
Um, you called at 9. If we could do it probably at 8, that would be better. So
Okay. So
an
for
hour
me,
before whatever time we just set up. Was it 1 o'clock your time
hold on. Two,
of
it
this meeting?
was. This was two.
Oh,
So then it
okay.
would be an hour earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That would be 8 o'clock my time. Or I don't know how you are on weekends,
It
but usually
depends.
I usually have more energy then.
Okay. So that would be around the same time on a weekend.
Oh, on the weekend, I would probably are you good with mornings?
It depends on what time morning is.
Oh no, because for me it's going to be later in the day.
Right.
So
That's
that's
why
what
I'm
I'm
asking. That's why I'm asking what time you would need. So then I could be like, okay,
Oh
yeah.
no, it's fine with me. Anything before 8 p.m. on my side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's why
do
I'm saying if you're okay with mornings, and it'll be like my early evening or something, which is
okay.
will have more bounce in my step.
Okay. So let me see. So we're going for, so that would be either the week of the 17th or the weekend, like the 22nd or 23rd.
Yeah.
All right. So hold on a moment. Oh, that's a little
Yeah, the
later.
22nd, 23rd, or um if we have to, we can do it in that week.
Or during the
Um,
week, it would be this like 1, 2 o'clock.
yeah.
Okay. How is Wednesday the 19th?
I think that's when I'm already no, I already have one that day.
Okay, no
Yeah.
worries. All right. So let's look at Thursday the 20th.
Um, at the 1 o'clock time for you?
Mm-hmm.
That should work. I don't see anything on my schedule right now, and I can't think of anything in my head
Okay.
that might be happening.
All right. So Thursday the 20th feels good. And even if you do want to do it a little bit earlier, I am available as early as 11 a.m. my time. So what would that be? You said it was 8. So that would be 7, 6. So is that
Wait,
like
what?
5 p.m. your time?
Let me make sure what time is it there right now?
Right now it's 3:26 p.m.
Oh, so you're only 7 hours behind me. So you're on Eastern Standard Time?
Mm-hmm. Right now.
Oh, I thought you were on Central. Okay. I'm glad I checked then. So yeah, if we do 11 o'clock your time, what is the 20th? I only have something in the morning right now. That's on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't because I'm still at school until 5.
Okay. So do you need to
Uh,
do it later
yeah.
on the 20th?
So
So what time?
yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, if it's like 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock or noon, because 7 or 8 would work for me. Would 1 o'clock work for you?
Mm-hmm.
Your time?
Yep.
Okay.
And you said the name is Meet Me in the Middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna put this. I thought I could just put your email in there, but I thought it would remember you. And I love your name. That's your full
Thank
name,
you.
Kimberly?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I love it. Um, so I'm wondering, do you want do you want me to send you another invite through yours so that we meet on this portal like this? And that way you'll have the content and then you can just share it with me. Is
We can do that.
that okay with you?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we can do that. Let me
And that way you'll have the raw content too.
uh-huh. So let me go to, hold on 1 second. I have to I'm making myself a note so that I'll put the schedule it. All right. So we have OMG guys. This is enough. My brain people are not cooperating. Hold on. It's when technology is trying to be helpful, and I'm like, this is not helping me right now because I'm trying to do something else, please. Thank you. All right. So I'm gonna add you to this calendar invite. And then I will update the link.
Okay.
And can you tell me where I can find, do you all have any like social media presences already? But yours, you talked about you said Kim is the
Yeah.
producer.
Let
Like
me send
where can
you.
I find the
You want
thing?
me to send you want me to send you? Oh, we're both mostly on Instagram.
Same.
She's under Ginkati,
Okay, hold on.
and I'm under my name. But if you send me your details, or I can send you on Facebook, because I'm also like most everything that I post on my Instagram comes on my Facebook too.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll
Kim is mostly on only on Instagram.
Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me find your message in here. So I'm gonna I'll send you in Insta, I'll send you my social spaces
Okay.
over on Instagram, YouTube, all that. Um and then also to post it in the how people can connect and everything. So would do you want me to send you that in Messenger or would you prefer for me to email you that information?
And Messenger would be good.
Okay,
So
and
that way I don't forget that that's where
where
everything
we were
is.
talking. I understand. The girl, because with okay. So I'll send you that, my social media information. Do you need a picture or a bio or anything like that?
No, no. I mean, if I do, I'll come back to you later on that because I
Okay.
haven't talked to Kim about wanting any of those things.
Okay.
Um, we only talked about we want the audio and the video.
Uh-huh. And
And then
you said you all already are the episodes that the episodes you've already recorded haven't been released. You're just
no,
pre-recording
we're
them. Okay.
we're yeah, we're building them all out now for our
Gotcha.
first season. And then
Gotcha.
she's working on the editing on the back end. So yeah.
Perfect. So you'll give me that information later about when it's going to be posted and the
Yes.
social spaces so I can make sure I'm following
Yeah.
that and collaborating. Okay.
Yeah.
Great, great.
Yeah.
All right. So then you should have gotten the calendar invite. I will schedule the Zoom so that we'll have that. And I'll put that into the location on the calendar invite. And then I'll send you over my social spaces and
Okay.
where people can connect with me. And then we'll be good to go from there. Unless anything else comes up, then you just let me know.
Did you send it to me on
I sent it
Face?
to your Hotmail.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
it's an actual calendar invite.
Ah, I see. I see it.
Yeah. I got to have things on the calendar. If it ain't on the calendar, girl, no telling what I'm doing.
Yeah,
But not
I
that.
hear. I know I'm starting to be in this like crossover phase because I'm getting ready to leave, right? So I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to do more things on my own, like Hotmail and my Google accounts on my
Uh-huh.
personal side
Uh-huh.
because all that stuff right now exists. And I'm like, I gotta remember
Listen.
to take all my shit with me when I leave here.
Yes, please start doing that now because it's a lot to do when you try to like really when it's a month out, you're like, oh God, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
like I don't have time for all this.
Yeah. Understood. Absolutely understood.
Hmm. So we'll see. It's just like one more job I gotta do, but I'm
It's a
not looking forward
process.
to.
You find some joy in it. See, you'll think about, all the things that you're gonna do when you're free and you're frolicking and
Yeah, I'm
you're
just
letting
trying
your
to
brain rest.
finding. I can't even like. I'm supposed to be trying. There's this job that came up that's what I was doing before I got on the call with you. There's a job in. You might have heard of it since you're on the East Coast. Maybe not. I don't know. It's called the Walnut Hill School of Arts.
Mm-mm,
It's outside of, I think they said outside of Boston.
mm,
And I'm like, that's expensive.
very.
Like, how much are you gonna pay people to go work?
Because rent for a one bedroom is 2,400 a month. Okay.
That
It's
is
wild.
crazy.
It's wild there. It's the wild, wild west there. Yeah, Lewis was
But
just
I'm like, okay. I didn't want to do DEIB, but I'm like, maybe let me throw my hat in the ring and just see what's up.
Well,
Because I
I'm
don't know.
curious how it's going to be looking though, because many of my contracts have been affected because of everything
Yeah,
that's happening.
but the independent private school spaces, they're still going
They're
ahead
still
because
doing it. Okay.
they're not relying on Trump's money.
Right. Okay. Got you. Got you.
So
I
they're
was
still
wondering what
going.
that was
But
looking
yeah,
like.
like we're even getting impacted over here. And I'm like, dang, I
Wow.
guess it's maybe a good thing that yeah, because a lot of our kids, I don't know if you've been hearing about the hostile takeover. I mean, it wasn't hostile, but it was a takeover because I think the people just left. So it wasn't hostile. But Elon Musk and those guys going in and taking over the headquarters
Yes, I
of
did hear about
um,
that. A little.
so
I
we have
haven't read a lot
a
about
lot
it.
of our parents work for US aid,
Right.
and their jobs are being impacted. Like my friend today, she had like tears in her eyes. She's like, my little second grader raised her hand and said, we're leaving at the end of the week, Miss Louise, because my parents can't work anymore
Oh,
here.
wow.
The other kid's like, we're leaving at the end of the month. And she's just like, what?
Yeah.
So there's a lot. It's impacting a lot of spaces here. And like a part of that group also supports locally all these clinics and all these individuals who are taking life-saving medications for HIV AIDS,
Oh,
and now they've had to stop. So it's
wow.
like, okay, how are these people going to get their medicines to
They
stay
don't
healthy?
care. They don't care how they're going to get them.
Yeah, so it's just like very,
Damn,
yeah.
that's crazy. Well, I'm gonna
So
definitely
it's
make sure that I'm thinking of you all with intention. Thank you for sharing that with me because I have the privilege of being able to close the computer and it's like, all right, we're done with that. And so I appreciate you sharing that because that reminds me that there's other things that are going on and the ripple effect is very much rippling. So
yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like, well, I also keep removing myself from it because I'm like, well, I'm leaving, so whatever. But at the
Hmm.
same time, it's real, like these are people that I care about,
Yeah.
and even people that I don't know here, just in South Africa in general. Like this man is far reaching, and does he care or know or understand
Right. No.
like the huge impact that his short-sighted greed is amounting to? Like it's crazy.
Yeah. It's definitely I do believe there is a knowing and I do believe there is an understanding. I think it's the care that's lacking in this
Yeah.
particular situation.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
would.
I don't give him that much credit. I don't know that he's that intelligent, but maybe
Oh,
he's
I
got
don't
some
think it's
intelligence.
about intelligence. I now, yeah, that went far. Roll that back a little bit now. I wasn't insinuating that. I was just saying that he understands it's gonna hurt the blacks. Great, press it. It's gonna hurt them.
Oh,
Awesome, wonderful. That's what I mean.
okay.
But yeah, no, I definitely want to just hold that with intention and be intentional about holding space as I'm thinking about how all of this is impacting and how I can be of service because it's definitely a lot. So yeah, I will see you in the DMs in a little bit. You get some rest, please.
Yeah.
And
I will.
I hope the rest of your week is peaceful.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I look forward to sharing space when
Yeah,
we
I look forward
meet
to
in the
talking to you,
middle.
and thank you so much for this like 1.5 hour time. Like it's been so great to share space with you and to, yeah, get to learn a lot more about you. And I'm excited about, yeah, learning even more when we have our time together for the podcast.
I can't wait. So
Yeah.
I'll be in touch soon. I'll also send you a link to this in case there was any of this recording that you wanted to use or reference. So I'm gonna upload it to an unlisted YouTube, and then I'll send you the
Okay.
link over so you'll have that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
All
And
right.
then, yeah, I'm curious to know where this place is in Colombia that you live too.
Yeah,
I
Medellin.
don't know if I spelled it. My, what
I'll
is
spell
it?
it for you.
I don't know.
Medellin.
Oh, Medellin.
Uh-huh. IN. Uh-huh. It's the I with the
Oh,
accent over it. So it's pronounced
okay.
Medellin or
Medellin.
Medellin, you might hear people say.
Yeah, okay. I have a friend who's here teaching, who was in Colombia teaching before she
Ah,
moved.
so
He misses it.
she probably is familiar with Medellin.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that's where she was, but yeah.
Yeah, ask her about it. It's a beautiful place. It's the city of eternal spring. So as you're out traveling, you should swing through, at some point.
Oh my gosh, it's like one of the only continents I haven't been to.
Oh, well, come on down.
I know. And I'm like, I've been wanting, and I heard you speaking Spanish, and I'm like, I've been wanting to learn Spanish my whole life, and I've never gotten to.
It took this for me to be able to learn. I started learning in
Yeah.
Mexico but Mexican Spanish is different from Colombian Spanish. But I'm finally at the point. That's what the guy was telling me. He was like, your Spanish is so good. And I said, well, I practice every day. And I'm finally at the point that I'm able to understand and have a volley of a conversation.
Oh my gosh, that's so
So
great.
yeah,
I
so
know.
that
Well, I
feels
keep
amazing.
you thinking like either I'm gonna have to quit my life like you did and go there and be immersed, or I'm gonna need to get a job in an international school there. And there was a job that I was gonna apply for a couple years ago, but I didn't apply for it.
Well,
And
we'll
so now I'm
see.
like,
We'll see
yeah.
how the
Come
universe
back to my
aligns you
orbit.
to come interact with Colombia.
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Anyway, I'm gonna take my little stuff to bed.
All right. I'll be talking to you soon.
Okay, thanks,
Take care.
Kimberly.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.